Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the feature news for today, that is 17th of February 2022. Today's feature news is on climate smart agriculture. And before we begin this topic, let me welcome all of you here. People appreciating here. Thank you very much. Hi Amlan, Netra, Hima, Kriti, Vakram, Ashish, Bhavani, Vivek, Somik, Peace Lover, Ravi, Tiyasha, welcome all of you. Welcome back to this discussion, a fruitful one, I hope. And what are we going to discuss here is the climate smart agriculture. Before that, you people are mentioning how the current affairs has actually helped you. See, it's not about what I am providing. What I am providing could be good, could be decent, but then it's about your consistency and your regularity. See, I keep sharing this. Man ke hare har, man ke jeete jeet. Till the time you feel that it's done, it's actually done. Till the time you feel incomplete, you must be incomplete. So the point I'm making here is that if you are regular with your work, if you spend a couple of hours for this in the evening, current affairs, making notes, this is going to be so beautiful in the long run. In the midterm and long term means 3 months. Midterm is 3 months and long term is 6 months. That's it. The kind of inputs it will give you for your examination, more than that, the confidence that will raise for you, you won't even have to look at the newspapers. That's the point I'm making. All you have to do, even if you want, just skim through, look at the images, the headings, analysis is happening here. You meet us, you look at the topic, or you in fact dictate the topic. You tell this topic is to be discussed, we will do that. So this is how it helps you. Along with that, it will also help you in your optional. Whatever you are studying here, you can translate that example in your optional. Right? And this is the reason that I mapped the complete GS paper 1, 2, 3 and 4 with whatever we covered in our publications. I personally did it, and I would like you to see this in this example only today, how climate smart agriculture is actually beneficial, what are the examples we presented innumerable times, and how you can actually take the best advantage of it. Right? See, giving a lot of resource to study is one segment, but sharing how to apply it, this becomes more relevant. This is what we are learning here, and I really appreciate your participation, really. So thank you for these encouraging words. See, you succeed, I succeed. If you fail, there'll be pain inside me as well, right? So this is the reason that I try to encourage all of you to participate. Really happy with your presence here. And see, we have had Kriti, Hima, Ashish, some of you, yeah, quite a few doing well here. But then now today we see Netra's responses as well. So once, you're setting benchmarks, standards for yourselves and each other as well. So this is a great achievement, right? Keep on flourishing, keep on doing well. We are going to study climate smart agriculture. See, the word itself says climate smart. That means there is something happening to the climate which is to be undone, which we need to be resilient about, which we need to go beyond and become more smarter with, right? So to be able to understand what is climate smart agriculture, we must understand what is the climatic condition in our country, right? So I looked up the websites, right? A couple of websites, National Institute of Disaster Management, and they presented innumerable maps on the vulnerabilities that India faces. These are the flood vulnerabilities. I'll share each of them with you, but before that, let me just quickly show to you. Flood vulnerability on the right side, and then you have drought vulnerability, drought frequency, flood frequency in the country. I'll get back to each of them, but then right now, just have a look overview. Cyclone, heat frequency in the country, climatological disasters, cold wave frequency, and then we have drought frequency in the country district wise, right? Now, if you see these many kind of vulnerabilities in India, we are talking of cold waves, climatological disasters, taken all together, frequency of heat waves, legends of cyclones, flood frequency, drought frequency. This means India is largely prone to natural disasters or climatic disasters, right? So climate. And then we also have agriculture as the mainstay of the country, 48% population practicing agriculture, 15-16% of GDP, feeding the whole country. So food security, also helping in food security of the whole world. Just today, in fact, there was a news saying that India will be producing record 330 million tons plus of the food grains, 110 million plus of rice, 100 plus millions of wheat, and then rest of the other cereals, smaller varieties, and total of 330. This is record production ever produced in the country, right? So a question like this will entail what? It will entail a lot of things. For example, how to handle the logistics of it, right? These are the natural questions that could be asked in the UPSC. How to ensure that these are graded and later marketed well, branded well, and exported. This is one component. How they are transported, right? What is their the ratio in which they are stale? So we are talking of the shelf life here of these products. And what about their storage? These are the components that I believe could be a part of the question when we have a record production in India. On the other hand, India is being able to provide food for the whole world, but India is also vulnerable to these kind of disasters, climatic disasters, natural disasters. So we need to look at something called as climate smart agriculture. We have to become more smart here. One example of how India is vulnerable to these climatic issues is that when there is rise of the sea level, there are coastal areas around the country, right? Especially the Deccan area. This is where we see the inundation of the lands and the submergence of land areas with the saline water. This is happening to Kerala, where the backwaters are getting full of the saline water. And this is leading to migration of many people from the villages. In fact, complete villages have gotten migrated from there. This is one type of climate disaster that I am seeing impacting agriculture directly, production of food crops. Another one is about the dry land, the places, for example, the Green Revolution belt, Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, the places in the east as well, Visakhapatnam, Gujarat, all these places are prone to drought. While they are prone to drought, they are also cultivating rice, paddy cultivation with such a humongous amount of water waste. And we also studied how it is impacting the river ecology, how it is impacting the groundwater. If this is happening, this is not sustainable. This has led to drying up of the rivers. This has led to a decrease of the ground water reserves and lowering of the water table. If this has happened, this is not climate smart. Again, this is the second example. There are various places which are prone to becoming a dry land, right? So all the places where there is basaltic lava in the Deccan Plateau, Deccan Trap, this is the place where there is hardly any rainfall happening, right? So 60-70 centimeters of rainfall in the year. However, this is the place where we see sugarcane cultivation. Oh my God, right? So needs excessive of water here. Now, another way in which climate smart agriculture is not getting practiced, right? So looking at these examples, let us understand what exactly is climate smart agriculture. First of all, climate smart agriculture becomes a subpart of the National Action Plan, NAP, for climate change, right? Because out of these 8 programs, National Action Plan on Climate Change, one of the programs is on sustainable agriculture, right? National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture. And in sustainable agriculture, we will have to adopt to the practices which are climate smart agriculture. So this is how it becomes relevant in the changing times when there is more of heat, more of heat waves, more of flooding, more of droughts, more of coastal inundations. We will need to adopt climate smart agriculture. So what is this? These are those techniques applied to ensure that we retain the productivity, in fact increase the productivity of that particular crop. We ensure that we adapt to the new climate technologies, and we also try that we mitigate any impacts of climatic disasters, right? So we build productivity, right, of that particular crop. We adapt to the climatic conditions, and we also ensure that if that particular climatic adaptation, if that climatic change can be mitigated or not, if that could be done through agriculture, we'll try that. Present level of situation is such that any kind of climate disaster, especially related to the natural disaster, this impacts the agriculture the most. More than 80% of the impact in economy is faced by the agriculture, specifically related to droughts. Not only that, India is one of those countries which emits one of the largest proportions of methane through agriculture. right? 70% plus of India's methane is emitted through agriculture industry only. 30% of the world's greenhouse gases, they are produced through agriculture sector in totality. So agriculture is going unsustainable, and the practice is such that it is leading to global warming, and global warming in turn is also decreasing the productivity in agriculture. This is a vicious cycle, right? And this is, to reverse this, we need climate smart agriculture, CSA, right? So what is it? We use technologies like mechanization, digitization, precision agriculture. We use technologies of biotechnology, various other ways through which we try to produce those kind of crop varieties which ensure productivity, adaptation to the climate, and mitigation. Now what you need is some examples of this. That's what. And to make you understand a little more about this, there are many ways in which one can initiate this kind of agriculture. Multiple entry points. It means that one need not have the new variety of seeds only to be able to initiate climate smart agriculture. We can also get into irrigation practices. Even if we are not getting that entry during the harvest times, we can ensure that it becomes more climate smart. So the various entry points, if you remember, yesterday we spoke about various ways, supply chain of agriculture, right? So right from the process of preparing or tilling of the land to seeding, and then watering of the plant, and then harvesting, and then post harvest, you can introduce climate smart practices at any of these stages. So when you talk about seeding, those kind of varieties which are drought resistant, salinity resistant, herbicide resistant, those which are biofortified, fortified with those products, those minerals which are important, they will help the plant survive during adversities. This is the level at which we are talking of seeding of the plants. Look at the times of tilling. Use the same examples that we have studied. There will not be more than 2-3 questions of this kind in the exam, but there will be 2-3 questions of this kind. So what I'm saying, while we till the ground, why not use those examples of the 4 examples or the 4 specific components of zero budget natural farming, right? Beej Mitra, Lachsadana, right? So all those 4, be it mulching or preparing of the soil, tilling of the soil, if you use those aeration techniques here, this is climate smart. This will increase the presence of water, the presence of air particles, the presence of biota at a better degree. So this indicates multiple entry points. This is a keyword to use, right? Will it be one size fits all? Can the same technique be applied at all places? Not at all. What will be applied in Kerala or Arunachal might not get applied in Rajasthan and Kashmir, right? Similarly, when we talk of watering the plant, how can we become more climate smart? We have to ensure that those particular crops are only planted at that space where the water use efficiency of that plant is high, where a particular variety is planted only with the kind of proportion of water that is available at that place, right? So when you look at sugar cane plantation, when we look at the plantation of cotton at specific places, when we look at the plantation of rice, they must become more climate smart. There are places where they are trying rice intensification without flooding of the whole water. There are rice varieties, paddy varieties being planted which have salt resistant. So this is very good for coastal areas, right? Similarly, those kind of varieties are getting planted which are biofortified. So against climatic vulnerability, which will lead to lesser productivity of that particular or lesser value production in that particular crop. If you provide them with biofortification, the minerals present will provide nutritional security, right? So these are some examples here. Okay, so what it actually does, 3 things it does. Do remember these 3 words. It ensures that the productivity is increased, the crops adapt, and they also try to mitigate the ill effects of the climate, right? So instead of decreasing the yield, instead of ensuring that the nutrition also goes dip or groundwater goes low or increase adverse conditions, exactly opposite is done by climate smart agriculture, right? So it has 3 parts. They identify those places which are getting impacted, they assess the kind of impact, and then they try to create crops with resilience or adaptation, right? So these are some keywords here. right? So in this is one slide in which you will get the assessment of the whole answer to this climate smart agriculture, barring the examples, apart from examples. So what is required right now is adoption. What are missing is adoption of these practices, awareness, policies, and non-accounting policies. Government has MSP policy, minimum support price. This is not climate smart at all. You understand the examples very well. Rice and sugarcane. Non-accounting, right now we are not even accounting of the amount of water that has been extracted, or the amount of electricity that was consumed to extract that water. Nothing accounted for, leading to more wastage. Not at all climate smart. And there are case studies of these places. This is what I want you to start putting in the cases. We'll discuss them. So what is actually required right now is to ensure that we have carbon markets to exchange, more financing in climate smart agriculture, and research and development, right? So looking at the maps here, there are places where there is more proneness to drought. Look at the southern fragments, Telangana, Andhra and Karnataka, Rajasthan. Look at those places which are prone to floods. Look at Bihar, West Bengal. Look at those areas in the west or the northeast. They are prone to floods, right? Look at those areas as well which are in the north, Rajasthan, Punjab, Himachal. Flood proneness does not mean that the amount of rainfall is very high. The amount of rainfall is high proportional to what it usually happens. It could lead to those kind of disasters, right? Looking at the cyclone frequency along the coastline. If there is cyclone, there will be water incoming. Can we have those varieties which are more resistant to cyclones? Can we also have the growth of the salt tolerant varieties along the coastline? One more important variety is mangrove cultivation here, right here, vegetation along the coastlines. Similarly, heat frequencies all over the country, they are impacting the biota, the production, right? And so are the cold waves, extreme cold waves, thawing, etc. So look at the exposure of the whole country to climatic disasters. Very high is red in color. Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Odisha, Maharashtra, Assam. These are the states where we expect green revolution to start in. Maharashtra, Odisha, Bihar, Eastern UP, Rajasthan, right? And they are prone to climatic disaster. What is actually required is to introduce climate smart agriculture techniques. So let's not delay any further. I will show that to you. This is the district wise drought frequency of all the districts in our country. All of the maps have been prepared by National Institute of Disaster Management. All the maps, and this data has been taken from 1985 to 2020. All right. So latest data only. And if you can look here, the drought frequency is the highest at these places. If you know, the hockey stick in the south and then Rajasthan. But this is the place where we are cultivating rice, no? The basmati rice, Indira Gandhi Kalan. This is the place where we are producing the sugarcane crops, no? With the excessive water, utility. And look at, places in the east as well, Vishakhapatnam area. This is the place for green revolution again, but prone to the disaster of droughts. Imagine that. Even the places with yellow areas, these are drought prone. This indicates that we must build in those varieties which are climate smart. So when we talk of climate smart, Jeevamrut, Bijamrut, Achadana, Vapasa. This is what is required. These inputs at various places can be also a part of your answer. Now, giving examples of the urban areas first. Spawn cities. If we create spawn cities that can extract the excessive water and they can absorb the excessive water, and they can still utilize this water to be able to utilize them during the odd times when there is less of water present during summer times. These are the spun cities. And there are many spun cities which have already been created. Areas with the presence of Miyawaki forest in Mumbai, in Chennai, in Bengaluru. These Miyawaki forests are nothing but spun city areas where during excessive rainy times water recharge happens, and during summer times the water which has been stored or which has been harvested is utilized for cultivation. So this is in urban areas, urban fringes and cultivation, climate smart, right? Presence of water. Good example here. Look at the example of presence of green blue infrastructure. Another example. example of planning of Delhi itself. Green, blue, my favorite. Frothing in Yamuna. In case Yamuna, urban areas example right now, we'll cover the rural ones as well. So in case we talk of frothing in Yamuna, this is an excellent example of not being climate smart, because of these kind of frothing, especially in winter times, this leads to dying of all the biotic species inside Yamuna and the growth around Yamuna as well. So what can be done here? This is a negative example. How can we participate here? Through creation of the sewage treatment plants, through industrial process of waste treatment, liquid and solid waste. Both of them is required at Yamuna. Similar is the example of biophilic urbanism, just like spun cities. Singapore is a great example. Biophilic urbanism. Bio means biota, human, animal, plant oriented. Philic, loving. So bio-loving urbanism, those kind of urbanism which involve sustainable methods of development. One simple example of this is having the commercial area, having the industrial area or the office space, and having the home space all created aside each other. So this ensures lesser transportation. This also ensures that the people and also amidst greenery, people are close to the nature. So this is what is called as biophilic urbanism. This is practiced very well in a city state like Singapore, right? More examples. Now these are exact examples which I would like you to start noting and using. Rice fish farming in Siang district of Arunachal Pradesh. Rice fish farming. So what happens is that if you do not get a separate area for fish farming, why not ensure that the fishes farm is created in the paddy field itself? When the paddy is flooded, ensure that the fishes lay eggs there, and then we have rice fish farming, both of them happening at the same place. Climate smart, absolutely true. In East Siang district of Arunachal Pradesh, right? Also gives people nutrition, also gives people more productivity, gives them finances. Absolutely true. All right. Moving ahead to Malkangiri in Odisha. These are those places with many tribal people residing here, and with lesser of, if you know, KBK districts, Koraput, Bolangir and Kalahandi. These are the districts in Odisha which are really poor, which have less of presence of natural rainwater, and one of the causes of less development is also the left-wing extremism here. All of them integrated. So the people here have gone back, the tribes here have gone back to the cultivation, the Bonda tribes especially, they have gone back to the cultivation of traditional millets, which did not need excessive water at all. And this has started giving them nutrition. This is away from what they would cultivate previously, rice, or try to cultivate wheat or the vegetables. They've gotten back to millets. Good example of Malkangiri. The example is Bonda women. Where will you get these examples? Start noting them. AgriStack. AgriStack is a good example. Now this is where we are speaking of technology, mechanization. Yesterday we studied mechanization, digitization, and precision farming. Each of them aiding climate smart. So precision agriculture, try using drones, try using drip and sprinkler irrigation, using of machines, right? Just precise amount of spraying is done or cultivation is done appropriately, less wastage is happening. Digitization helps understand the agricultural fields far better than what humans can. Look at the example of Bhu Parikshak, helps in precise understanding of the nutritional needs of the crop or the soil. Bhu Parikshak, we have studied in Gazette itself. Oh, by the way, all these are screenshots of Gazette or Cosmos, all of them. So we have studied in Bhu Parikshak that we have tried to form a new device, and mere few seconds of putting soil on this, and it will tell the proportion of the nutrition of 6 elements in it. Only 6. Only few seconds, 90 seconds, and 6 elements proportion will be told. If this is done, we understand what kind of requirements are there for that particular soil. It makes it more climate friendly, because this is how we will not inject any amount of nutrition in that particular soil. Look at the next example of Karnataka. Now this is a place which is most suitable for cultivation of pulses. So we are talking of Tumkur in Karnataka and Medak in Andhra Pradesh. These are those areas dryland areas where pulse production can be done, pulse and oil seeds, both of it. We are importing oil seeds in India, high taxation, high prices, 20 to 30% prices rise this year, but yet we are not cultivating them. But these areas have been spotted for production. These are the climate smart practices. Diversifying, also ensuring nutrition, also ensuring greater productivity, ensuring that the minimal impact of climate is there at these areas. All those conditions which I mentioned, they are being met here. Also being met in the rice farming, rice fish farming. I'm not over. Millet farming in Odisha. Look at the example of micro irrigation methods being used at specific places. These are drought prone areas, Gujarat, and they are using micro irrigation and helping in controlling the groundwater extraction in Gujarat. Koraput, allied activities. So when people cannot utilize agriculture as the prime stream, why not also move to an allied activity? Fishing, only fishing, poultry, animal husbandry, forestry, right? If nothing, and if it is even the marine area, why not seaweeds? Seaweeds could be utilized for biota production. They could be utilized for energy, providing energy. Seaweeds could be utilized for as herbs, medicinal varieties of plants. They could be utilized to create cottage industries, products. Oh my God. Seaweed is one of the most widely available resources in the seas and not used. I'm talking of creating biotic products, creating of herbs and medicine, energy, right? Cottage. Simple example is through seaweeds, right? We can create ropes. We can create many home devices of utility. And this is being used in India. Kanyakumari, seaweed. Have a look through self-help groups. What does it talk of? It talks of climate smart agriculture. Tens of examples here, and this is what I wanted from you people. You see, this is the differentiation between a general answer and a specific one. Through these examples, the examiner will come to know that this person is really aware of these updates. This is what will make you a person who owns knowledge, right? This is what is required. So once we go back to what we were looking at, the criteria of climate smart, building productivity, absolutely. Adaptation, sure. Mitigation of climate change, yes, absolutely happening. So through drought resistant variety, salinity variety, herbicide resistant or tolerant variety, this is what you're trying to do. If you can create a map of India, you should be able to depict these places in that map and use small cases, 3 pointers in every case, and use 4-5 cases to be able to put your notes. Right, and then remember them, utilize them wherever you can utilize them. Right? They are examples of precision farming, they are examples of crop diversification, they are examples of climate smart agriculture, they are examples of many ways, right? You could use them in many ways, innumerable ways. And paper 3 will have a question like this. Society will have a question like this. Agriculture will have a question like this. Rural area will have a question like this. Every year you might encounter 5-6 questions which will have pointers, which will have pointer as examples from these questions itself. Main examination, right? All right. So getting back to the content here, see, for the same purpose, Economic Survey has documented various environmental damages caused due to agriculture and discussed the national innovation on climate resilient agriculture, right? So national innovation on climate resilient agriculture, right? They started in the year 2011, noting that climate change is happening, it is real, and we must introduce this in agriculture as well. So 3 components, the same components. So identifying the districts and then assessing the kind of damages and also trying to adapt to it and ensuring that the damages are minimal, right? So this is what is required, and the 3 components of what is to be done: ensuring that the productivity remains high, ensuring that the adaptation is done, ensuring that least of climate change happens with the application of these new varieties. All right, 3 components. So this is what we have explained: productivity, adaptation and mitigation, all 3. And what is the context of it? India being one of those countries with high methane emission, absolutely true. India with those countries which has 30% of greenhouse gases released through agriculture. India being one of those countries with around 20% of wastage in food because of post management, post harvest management, pre harvest management. Not only that, yield reduction in India will be very high. Yield reduction will be 5 to 10%. And if it is to this proportion, 4.9 to 9% because of global warming, it will lead to 1 to 1.5% of GDP falling short, yield reduction because of global warming. So these are the essential needs because of which we need to look at climate smart agriculture. So when a question is asked, what is the need for climate smart agriculture? These are your points. Or what will be the impacts if we do not perform well? These are the points. High methane emissions, right? Yield reduction, productivity reduction, right? And whatever else you can mention. Nutritional security will not be met, groundwater exploitation, economic impact. See, following drought, economic impact at agriculture is the maximum. 85% of the impact of drought is in agriculture sector itself, right? Absolutely, Ravi. One drop, more crop, right? So this is a part of the irrigation benefit program. Vertical gardening in China, yes. So what you're speaking of, Ravi, is bioponics, right? Hydroponics, absolutely. Vakram says we can learn from Bangladesh about floating agriculture. Yes, yes. These are the examples. Hi Anuj, good evening. So Peace Lover says backward and forward linkages of agriculture. Yes. So when Peace Lover, you mentioned backward and forward linkages, you must mention an example of climate smart backward and forward linkages. Climate smart agriculture backward and forward linkages. One of the safest example will be through zero budget natural farming or a farming which is organic oriented. So when you look at the example of stubble burning only, the stubble can be utilized as mulch, right? So it can become a part of the mulch. If mulching is to be utilized in climate smart agriculture, this becomes a part of the backward linkage, right? So there is a backward link which can be utilized here in mulching, right? Similarly, use many other examples of the same kind, forward and backward linkages with all other varieties. For example, if you look at rice fish farming in Siang, it also happens in Kerala. So if you look at that example, it also leads to the forward industry development of fishing market or food processing. See, it can also lead to the backward industry, that is production of research and development in disease resistant or saline resistant rice varieties. Backward industry, research and development industry. So they will be the safest examples to use. So Somik says we have to remove many bottlenecks like lack of surplus storage. Yes. Somik says agro, climate and ecological zones. Yes. All right. What else? Hima says alternate wetting and drying in rice cultivation. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So these are the many examples that we have used that could be used in climate smart agriculture, directly addressing it, right? So how will climate smart agriculture help in addressing the above issues, right? So it addresses climate change because we don't extract much water, because we are getting adapted to the salinity varieties, getting adapted to more of drought. Do remember, at the places which are drought prone, try using those kind of crops which are drought resistant, right? Those which can be cropped in dry land cropping. Simple examples: oil seeds or pulses. Another example of this is bajra, BAJRA. See, they can be grown at those places also which have less water presence. Millets. And through bajra word only, you'll remember all those three millets: bajra, jowar, J for jowar, and Ra for ragi. Bajra itself contains all the three, right? And ragi towards the south, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka; jowar in the central of India; and bajra in the north, Rajasthan. How easy. I hope you understood what I said through bajra. The cultivation of this happens from north to south, largely bajra in the north, jowar in the middle of India, and ragi in the south. And bajra word itself entails all these three of them. Cultivate them, no. More nutrition, more security, less usage of water, more availability for the vagaries of climate. See, so we have multiple entry points. Note this important keyword, right? Ravi mentions genetically modified crops. See, genetically modified crops for eating purposes, we have not started using that in India as of now. And there was an alleged mixture of genetically modified rice that was found in India being tested, and then it was found somewhere abroad. So right now we will not speak about genetically modified crops being utilized for edible purposes because of India's policy as of now. Right, some countries have started to use genetically modified maize, oil seeds, etc. For animal food and human food as well, but India has not initiated all this. So genetically modified is little beyond the scope, little debatable on this. We are not equipped enough. There are scientists saying we must use genetically modified. On the other hand, there's a group of people who are saying that it should not be used. Right? What can be done to go well beyond the hurdles? So what are the hurdles? Low adoption. People do not even know what is climate smart. Let us cultivate for the short run. What is the reason? See, many farmers, they are agricultural laborers. They are not the owners of the land. So what they actually want to do is cultivate for that season and then go ahead, reap the harvest of that season, get some money and, arrange their finances. So low adoption is there because of less awareness, less finances, because of agricultural scenario in the country, which is extremely poor. We do not even account in our country, we do not even account of the level of usage of water, of the level of usage of electricity. This is not climate smart. These are the issues. What are the policies of the government? MSP driven only. Minimum support price, they are not driven by climate smart practices. This is one major impediment. So what do we require right now in our country? We require finances, we require research and development in climate smart agriculture. What we require is awareness amongst people. All right, this should be sufficient. Policy revision, carbon markets also. Yes, carbon markets. If we have carbon markets, those places which are using climate smart agriculture practices, they can actually trade the energy certificates with developed countries. They can also gain finances through this. So this is a great practice. Now, if you see this image, this is a very beautiful image provided. It talks of all the ways in which agriculture can actually be helpful. Climate smart agriculture can be helpful, right? So mitigation potential, short-term availability of food, and adaptive capacity. Adaptive capacity is this segment. Short-term availability is this part, and mitigation potential is the right part. They speak of things like, for example, food distribution during disaster relief, right? Relaxation in fishing quotas, so that they are able to meet the times where there's better fish production, and we are also able to regulate the times when there is less fish production. Examples of this are using food processing energy, the food processing sector, increasing the food processing of the food byproducts also. Simple example of this is the bagasse, right? Reductions in overconsumptions of food. Example of this is livestock production, right? Reforestation. All of these are examples. Using clean energy fuels. All of them are examples of climate smart agriculture, somehow integrated in the whole process, right? So an image like this, well thought image, not so much of content, but lesser content, but well thought image. Let's try to create one here. So when we look at these three segments, we are talking of, I'm drawing something else here. Productivity, adaptability, and mitigation. I'm looking at this. So what will produce productivity, better productivity, are those varieties which have got higher production value than now. What will produce better adaptation are those varieties which are going to adapt. So say saline varieties or salt resistant varieties. Example, place an example here, and then show that some of the varieties are going to ensure better productivity as well. For example, rice fish farming. This is better productivity than only cultivating rice. No, So this will also ensure nutritional security. See, we are ensuring nutritional security, better productivity, agricultural adaptation as well, and this is also going to mitigate the ill effects at that particular ecology or economy. And this becomes a bigger case. You can talk about it in half a page and say that this is what we are doing in Arunachal, name of the district, or Kerala. Who will stop you from getting the best of the best marks in a question like this? This is the point. And you can use a case like this, integrate all the information and use a case like this for all the 10 examples that I have given. That's the best part. This is where your creativity plays a major role. Right now, when we practice answer here in this format, this is about even recalling the concepts or knowing the concepts. And through this discussion, we also enrich it. But how you present it in a well-defined 2-page, that is also an art, which is a little beyond this. But then it is not far to achieve once you have the access. We provided the access to various other articles related to it in case you have not covered, right from I think April, May onwards till now, till yesterday. I have ensured that these are here for you. All right. So this is how we cover the question of climate smart agriculture, CSA. And why can't we cover this in public policy for our country? Yes, public administration. We can also look at it from the perspective of sociology, where we talk about poverty in areas and adapting to the vagaries of climate. We can also look at it from the perspective of geography. It looks very obvious, but what about political science? Yes, why not? The poverty in specific areas is attributed to non-adaptation of these new methods, which must be adopted, and devoid of which the area might fall into vicious traps of poverty, unemployment, disease, and eventual deprivation, right? So what did we study in climate smart agriculture are the 3 important components of climate smart agriculture. We also understood what are the shortcomings. We also studied what are the way forward. Along with that, we studied the vulnerability maps of the country, right? Many of the maps. And we also understood many examples, at least 10 examples from our country where climate smart agriculture could be practiced. Elaborate on the need for India to adapt climate smart agriculture. What are the steps needed in this direction? Elaborate on the need of India to adopt. See, if you remember, we have also covered the need for India to adopt. What are the needs? Methane production. What are the needs? Sustainable agriculture, for example, nutritional security. What are the needs? The vagaries of climate, especially drought impacting 85% of the economy, especially in the agriculture sector. So needs are many. We have to remember them, right? What are the needs? They are kind of agricultural waste that we have, the levels of production that we can achieve and advantage we can give to farmers that has not been harnessed well. What are the steps needed in this direction? Give the examples. When you say the step needed, for example, nutritional security is one step, give the example. This can be followed. When you talk about increasing the productivity, then you talk about another example. When you talk about diversifying, talk about what is happening in Bonda district, in Bonda tribes in Odisha. It's done. All right. So let's look at the questions here. Somit says your sessions are like third vision. What is that? Ravi says GM crops. I mentioned about GM. Only GM cotton is being allowed and GM rubber is being tested. Yes, Somik, absolutely correct. Vivek says canola oil is GM oil imported from Canada. All right. Netra says Niti Aayog advocating to introduce millets in midday programs. Yes, they are advocating that millets can be introduced in midday meal program so that students start getting more of nutrition. If there is a demand within the government only, that's good only. No, if there is a demand, people will start to cultivate, and then government can subsequently raise the MSPs for those diversified crops also, especially when they are dry land farming crops, especially then they do not require excessive amount of inputs. Rice needs inputs, wheat needs inputs, millets will not need those many inputs. The poor man's nutrient, right? But even far more nutritious than other crops, right? So if you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments and shares. We will meet tomorrow evening. And one important update, we also are holding a session for people who just begun to prepare. right? This is an open session getting conducted online. Today evening we had it, tomorrow evening 5 to 7, and Saturday and Sunday I will be taking up the session. You can openly come if you wish to, have questions, want to share an input, most welcome. But you people are at a level where you people decently understand things. Even then, if you have questions, you are free to join Saturday, and Sunday I'll be there 5 p.m. onwards. All right. So till then, try looking at this question from an open mind. Please note down the examples that I have shared here. It took an effort for me to take screenshots and share it right here for you, but then only to the advantage that you will use it, right? So for that, you will have to prepare these quick notes. I will see you all tomorrow evening, right? Friday evening. And till then, good night. Bye bye. Bye bye, Netra, Babani, Kriti, Amlan, Ashish, Shima, Vivek, all of you. If you like this initiative, share some love. And thank you for these beautiful remarks. Really encouraging for me. It makes me get up with energy every day morning and work for you people. Good night, Tiyasha. Thank you very much.